Jodie, thank you. I can relate to pretty much everything you said there, given that I am currently on maternity leave. This has been the best year of my life. However, on a personal level, it has also been the most challenging year of my life. My first child was born prematurely. He's been in and out of hospital, and I've lost 3 very close family members just in the last 2 months. While on maternity leave, my keeping in touch days and my continued voluntary work for the CIHT have been an absolute godsend throughout these difficult times. I've continued to monitor my emails daily. I've ran CIHT events, very successful annual dinner up in Scotland, in case you can't tell where I'm from. And I'm very proud to say I won CIHT's Young Professional of the Year. My keeping in touch days have been really, really useful to my CPD, and I've continued to be valued on the project that I work on, and I also feel like I've continued to give value to the project that I work on. Yet my maternity leave is due to end on Monday, and I feel a real lack of confidence in my professional career for the first time ever. Again, in case you can't tell, I think I sound a little bit wobbly. Apologies. So this prompted me, thank you. This prompted me to do a little research into confidence and self-efficacy in the workplace when I was thinking about what I was going to speak to you guys about today. And I was not surprised to learn that there is such a thing as the confidence gap. And it's another proclaimed cause for the gender pay and leadership disparities in all workplaces. Now, being confident can mean a number of things to different people. But the confidence gap theory, as I'm sure many of you are already aware, I can see some nods here, is that generally in the corporate world, women are less confident than men, and that those who toot their own horn and show that they believe in themselves are greater rewarded. Numerous pieces of research have shown that gender differences in confidence are quite dramatic. Findings show that men overestimate their abilities and their performance, while women underestimate both. But in fact, their actual performance does not differ in quality or quantity. Women frequently express that they don't feel like they deserve the job they are in, that they're imposters who are going to get found out at any moment. Now, I know all too well how that feels. Despite being a chartered engineer, I have been known to say things like, "Oh, but I'm not a real engineer." Absolutely ridiculous, I do know that. And I apologise to my reviewers and to the council for saying such ridiculous things. Men are not exempt from doubting themselves, that's not what I'm saying. But they don't let their doubts stop them as often as women do, I believe, and what research shows. A Hewlett-Packard internal report found that men apply for a job or a promotion when they only meet 60% of the requirements, but women apply only if they meet all 100%. So requirements, qualifications, whatever way you want to look at it. What dooms women is not their actual ability, but rather the decision not to try, not to go for it. And again, I sadly can relate to that. So the confidence gap, as it's known as, could explain why women engineers on average are still paid £10,000 less than their male counterparts, according to the Engineer Salary Survey last year, and also why women in general do not hold as many senior leadership roles in our industry and obviously throughout the corporate world. Over the last 10 years or so, it was looking like these gaps were closing, although in the salary survey last year, its findings did suggest that women benefited less from the 6.6 industry-wide salary increase between 2016 and 2017. Perhaps women's lack of confidence to ask for more of a salary increase could have been creeping in there, possibly a blip. Either way, I look forward to seeing this year's survey results. Now, when I spoke to the Engineering Council last week about how many female registrants there are in the UK, I was expecting there to be a proportionately less amount of females professionally registered after considering the confidence gap. And I don't really think that's the case when you line it up with the other general statistics. In fact, it's actually thought-provoking to know that across all titles, 6% are female. Even more so, the new registrants in 2017, 11% were female. And if we look at just the C-Engers, that was higher again at almost 13%. So it doesn't look like the confidence gap is holding us back there. Something else I find interesting about the confidence gap when we consider it in line with the gender pay gap is that the pay gap is there on every seniority level. Junior engineers earn on average about £4,000 less if they're female. And that then widens to director level to about £20,000 less if you're female. However, research into the confidence gap actually shows that women's confidence increases as their experience goes on. Makes you think if we as women were just that little bit more confident from the outset of our careers, then maybe the gender disparities would reduce. And there's been many books like The Confidence Code by Katie Kay and Claire Shipman, written to encourage women to be more confident and lean in order to just do that. Full of lots of advice like stand tall, wear your heels, look good, you'll feel great about yourself, you'll be important. And I'm resisting the urge to kick these heels off right now, by the way. However, I'm not convinced that that's actually the solution here. I've always believed it's okay that men and women are different. And in fact, our differences, by us harnessing those differences, that's how we make real progress together on every single level. I started my career with borderline arrogance. I was that confident in my own abilities as an engineer, with what I believed was good business acumen as well. And I realised fairly early on that my forthright attitude could quite often actually repel the career opportunities that I was seeking. I learned that when I tempered my can-do attitude with my softer qualities, I got further much, much quicker than I could have ever imagined. Maybe that's the solution, and maybe that's actually what women learn to do as their careers progress, and maybe that's actually why women are then more happy to say, I am confident. So, when I found a piece of recent research that sought to determine how much the appearance of self-confidence increased the extent to which an employee gained influence, I was really not surprised by its findings. I found that across 4,000 engineers in an unnamed firm, and that's, I don't know, not that I've unnamed it, that appearing self-confident did not translate into influence equally between men and women. For women, but not for men, influence was closely tied to perceptions of warmth, how caring and how pro-social they seemed. Moreover, women's self-reported confidence did not correlate to how confident these women actually were or appeared. So while self-confidence is gender neutral, it would appear that the consequences of seeming self-confident are not. The performance, plus confidence equals power and influence formula is gendered. Successful women cannot lean in, especially on a structure that cannot support their weight without the opportunities collapsing around them. And what I mean by that is, in a workforce where women make up around 10%, for there to be probably an unconscious expectation from both men and women that women themselves need to drive the need for change. It's not only unfair, it's unrealistic and quite simply not feasible. Now, I'm not saying that men aren't caring. The best managers and leaders that I've had throughout my career so far have all been men, because they have been kind and caring. Again, Jodie, I've had a very positive experience on maternity and when I was pregnant, very much down to these men, and I can't thank them enough. There are vast amounts of organisational learnings and improvements to be had in relation to the confidence gap and how it relates to the other disparities. Namely, the ongoing need for changes in systems and practices to ensure that women and other minority groups are rewarded equally, and I believe especially in the recruitment and retention arena as well. Because at the end of the day, having men and women harnessing each other's strengths in engineering is imperative to addressing our skills gap and ultimately our country's social and economic development.